welcome to this month's Voices Drawn from the Stars, the interview series I kick off the month with. In case you didn't see it from my sidereal, my monthly schedule video, this month we'll be talking about home, and for this video we'll be talking about it through the lens of Dark Cloud. The game starts off with the main character from No Rune Village. Meanwhile, off in the distance, evil dictator man awakens an ancient evil to attempt to rule the world. The Dark Genie then attempts to destroy most of the world, but the Fairy King saves everyone and everything by encapsulating them into Atla. He then bestows onto the main character the Atla Mila. This gem allows him to extract the items from the Atla safely so that he can attempt to rebuild the world that's been destroyed. And that's where we're left off. So then, let's see who we're saving the world with.
Hello, I am 720p Hentai, and I am an engineer/designer.
Hi, my name is Kharn. Right now I'm studying to be a historian.
Hey guys, Frank here. I'm living it up in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, dealing table games for a living. I suck for crack under bridges and hire prostitutes to spank my bare bottom in musty hotel rooms. Thanks for viewing and purchasing our products on sundercosm.net, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
How lucky I am to have somebody or something that saying goodbye to is so damned awful. What are some very specific traits you'd like your home to have if you could make one from scratch anywhere? Location, orientation, surrounding area?
And I didn't have to worry about like money or
just
any resources like that. To start off, I would want something that's spacious enough where I have room to do things that not only I like to do, but things that maybe I would be more incentivized to do if I had proper space in my home. Sort of, I guess, decorate it in my own fashion, because I guess growing up I always lived in other people's houses or like rented a room or lived with my mom or whatever, so I never had a whole place where I could call it my own and put up artwork that I like and furniture that I like and just have it be 100% me.
I think it's very important to have like good neighbors. If you don't like the people that are around you, you're going to be miserable with like HOA and all that bullshit. I like having good neighbors. I like houses that build up. I hate the fucking flat ass, like just urban sprawl shit.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan of going up in like lofts and stuff. A big kitchen to cook whatever I want. I like it to be in walking distance of things that you can go to without needing to drive. In San Diego, we have this like bar that we can just walk to, and you don't have to drink and drive.
But you always have the choice to, right?
Yeah.
That's an important part.
There was this thing I saw, it was like this trend in the 70s where houses would have like conversation pits. I know it's like nowadays if you want to get it, it's like kind of specific and have to ask for it, but there was something I really liked about this idea of just like having a set place, and I guess that's true for everyone, it's like a set place to gather around and like where it just feels natural, like where it's easy to flow. Something I've always wanted is like a really nice garden. I think there's something really cool about like growing something from the ground with your hands, even if like literally anyone can do it.
I was surprised you had that shit off the belt.
Dude, I think they're so cool looking.
So I'm sure some of you've already heard of the idea of Feng Shui. It's this idea of bringing balance, energy, flow to your house, where you want your living space to be as frictionless as possible so you can do the things you love, feel motivated, and so you can properly rest. In this game, you restore this flow, you bring back these houses, you fulfill requests for people of how they want their home to be. But really, it doesn't take a dark genie to destroy something for you to make it how you want. And I know not everyone's fortunate enough to be able to change their living situation, but you don't have to necessarily rebuild the whole village. Maybe you just need a little lamp, or to clean up around the room. But you'll find that your room is a reflection of your inner mind. And a lot of the time, by fixing something small in your external world, your internal world might become a little bit clearer. Whenever you ventured away from home, had to go somewhere far, or just take your own journey, how has returning home felt to you? Has that feeling changed over time? Is it always the same?
I say it's definitely changed now, like, because this is the first time in my life where I've moved out and I'm like kind of happy where I moved out. When I first moved out and like the situation kind of fell apart and I was returning home, it made me think of that like Bible story, like the prodigal son, where it was like, damn, I kind of failed in this venture, but like seeing the warmth and the love from my family, it was like really eye-opening. Taught me a lot about what I should value and what really matters.
I guess for me, I've always gotten homesick kind of easily. I remember as a kid, even just visiting my aunt's house, I would want to go home and like see my mom, and I would just keep calling my mom and miss her. So I guess when I'm away from a place where I'm comfortable, even if I have a good time, which I usually do, I do enjoy traveling, there always is a sense of relief heading home. First of all, because it's just tiring, traveling and being away and not being able to just settle down in your bed or something, or like on your couch. Second of all, being in a place where I don't know feels like kind of foreign or like alienish in a way, where, you know, I don't recognize the area, so I feel like almost like an intruder, like I don't belong there. The other people that are there are like above me in a sort of way, because I don't know where I'm at in a sense. I kind of do just prefer being home in a place where I recognize it and I'm familiar with it.
You'd say it's always kind of been a good resetting point, good just like place to return to every single time?
It's interesting how you say resetting point, because being away from home and then coming back, you kind of miss being away, but it's also like kind of gives you a new perspective on your own home, and kind of makes you appreciate it in a different sense, even if that's like a temporary feeling, just like that day you get back or whatever. But it's gratifying.
Yeah, I think there's always like a nostalgia, because I've been in the same house since I was like a baby, so there's always like a nostalgia coming back home here. But it's definitely aged. Like, my mom's also now in Montana, so that's her home, but my dad's still here, so it's just weird coming home to like one parent versus like two. But that's just the way it is. When I moved to San Diego, I was still like pretty close to home, but I just haven't been like crazy far away from home where I can't just come back on a drive if I wanted to. I guess that's what's gonna happen in Michigan when you have to like fly back home.
Oftentimes when people bring up home, they'll also bring up nostalgia. Both the good and the bad, the pretty and the ugly. When you leave home, there's certain images, smells, sights that will bring you back, regardless of how far you are. In many ways, nostalgia is proof that something mattered to you, and as many of us are taught, if you love something, let it go. As nice and as comfortable as it is to live in that nostalgia, life is nothing without a little adventure. A lot of the time it's easy to view home as a singular entity, but there's a lot that goes into building a home. There are stories that led to your parents even getting to that home, the reason why they chose a location, what they had to do to afford it. Those are the things that lead to home. You stand upon the shoulders of giants, even as you rest in your bed. In this game, you don't stop at your own village, you keep going. But before we continue, make sure you like and subscribe and all that. We straight up cheesing out here. Have you ever had to rebuild something at home? Or have you had a moment where home felt further than it should?
Yeah, I think when my parents were having issues when I was in high school, that was when it felt, well, I guess it wasn't really high school, it was the years after that. It was a little distant. My dad wasn't living here at the time, and it just felt weird because he'd been here like my entire childhood, and yeah, we just had to build a new normal back here. Slowly got there, and now I have like 2 separate homes, and that's okay. It worked out in the end.
It is weird when it happens when you're older and you can kind of comprehend what's going on. It's not as it's a lot different from when it's happening when you're a kid.
Yeah.
There's definitely been a couple of times where the dynamic of my family dramatically altered because of something with my parents or something with my sister, or like even when my Nana, like when her dementia got really, really bad, like that, losing that presence and having to rebuild that. I remember, I guess in a way we never really replaced it, but kind of rebuilding the love that we had for each other was like the substitute. There's been a few times where like the dynamic or like the unit of the family has been shaken. I'm pretty lucky to say that like we've been able to rebuild it, and seeing like the work that goes into that has been pretty eye-opening.
I've always kind of had good roommates, you know, always been lucky, or I live with my mom, so it's like not tense, or not too intense, but like when I live with my brother, or when I live with my mom and my grandma, I was having issues with my grandma. When you're having issues with the people that you live with, that can also make things feel broken, and like home isn't really this like sanctuary that it should be. It doesn't feel like your home is your home. You just want to stay in your room and you don't want to go out, even to the other parts of your living space, which you should feel comfortable in.
Sadly, home isn't a place without conflict. As much as everyone wants home to be perfect, things happen. And it can be big enough to where it permanently alters the home you live in. But rebuilding isn't so much about recreating what was lost or what was. Just as people can be ever-changing, such can be the way of a home. Even through rough times, even through hard losses, the fire poppy grows from the remnants of the wildfire. You can't go back to how things were, but you can make something beautiful out of what is. The earth wouldn't be as beautiful if it didn't move on. Dried out canyons made out of past water bodies. Islands built from dormant volcanoes. We move on because we need to, but I believe it's also because that which is truly beautiful was once broken. How has your family, home, and community shaped your foundation? What part of you feels the most shaped by where you grew up? What part feels like it could have existed anywhere?
In certain ways, like, it's hard to really look at yourself and like look at your foundation and be like, this is what I am. Even if you do nail a few traits like perfectly, there's still so much more that like can't even verbalize almost. In terms of good traits, my family and my home, it's shaped me into who I am. I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but it's made me into what I believe to be a caring, compassionate, empathetic person, positive person who values their relationships with their family and with their friends and just all the people they've. In terms of negative traits, my home life have made me somewhat complacent in some regards. I guess lazy would be another word. It's good when your family is accepting of you, and it's obviously better than them not accepting you for whatever reason or for whatever life choices you make. But on the other end of the spectrum, when your family is too accepting of you, it makes you okay with who you are, including the negative aspects of yourself. And it might make you less willing to change who you are. And I feel like that's something I really struggle with in my personal life, is taking the initiative to change the negative aspects of my personality, which I'm not trying to blame my family when I say that. At the end of the day, it's my responsibility. Kind of grew up around a lot of like snobby kids. I felt like a bit more of an outcast in a lot of ways, especially like in retrospect. But at the end of the day, that kept me away from people people that I had no interest in being associated with anyways, and it led me to people, you know, like you and people that I can actually relate to and that don't think that I'm like just a fucking weirdo or whatever. And that's helped me embrace like who I really am and like my true personality, the good and the bad. No matter how far away I am from someone, I'll always care for them. That part of me will always exist, and it'll never stop. I mean, people are just too important to me to ever give up on.
I feel like academically, at least, that was 100% built at home. They were very into me learning everything I could, and I think that's why I ended up in engineering. But I feel like the artistic side of me, I've kind of like developed myself. Like playing music in high school, that was really a lot my own choice. And then also like what I'm doing now, like doing design. It's not necessarily the most common form of engineering, but design's kind of, you get to be a little artistic, but you're also very scientific, so it's kind of a way to merge both.
Yeah, that's a good compromise. I feel like a lot of people struggle with how to get their creativity out, but also fit into like a social norm or just kind of what they know.
Yeah. I wish I could play music though. I don't know. Kind of miss that. I want to learn drums.
No, I'm kind of the same boat. I kind of stopped playing music, but I always think about it like, damn, I want to perform again, you know?
Yeah. Oh my god.
That's really interesting because my mom talks about this idea a lot. Because when she was growing up, like she moved every year or so, right? Living on base. Like she went to 3 different high schools.
Right.
Moving around a lot. And so I think like growing up in Orange County, right? Like, I mean, we've talked a lot about like the social issues here and like the cultural issues here. But I think there is some truth to this idea that like real people find each other. And something that I've always wanted in my home and something that like my parents encouraged was just like let your home be a place where like people are welcome and people can gather and like confide in each other. And I think like that's something that would exist like no matter where we are, but like particularly because where we grew up, it was like so integral, I think, for my development and I say even maybe for some of the people around me.
This question is a way of me kind of tackling the nurture versus nature. That sums it up well, where the nurture kind of teaches you how to interact with others, right? It tells you these are the ways that people interact with each other, and having that caring family as the kind of filter for how to view that is very a blessing to.
Oh, it very much is. I recognize that like I'm incredibly lucky. Like I alluded to before, it didn't just happen. Like obviously there's been times where the boat was rocking, but I think that like I'm grateful that my family cares enough about each other that they understand that us staying together is like the best for us all.
Just like I briefly touched on, this question was a way to tackle the nurture versus nature that a lot of people talk about. With nature being the starting point, nurture is kind of like molding that clay. Depending on your environment, some traits can be amplified, some pushed down. And nurture, much like home, changes as you grow. When you're born, the people you're going to take the most influence from are your parents or whoever takes care of you. There's a lot of steps to it. It starts from home, then it goes to community, things like school, church, wherever you end up going on a regular basis. There's a time around those teenage, young adult years where it starts to grow even more, of course, depending on who you are and what you do. But from there, I think nurture starts to take form in the law of association. The idea that you're a reflection of the people that you spend the most time with. I believe that's a part of it, but that's also around the time when nurture becomes curated. and you start to create the person you want to be, building off of the structure that was given to you from home. However your future home looks to you, what steps do you want to take to build that?
Yeah, I'd definitely say the biggest step and the most difficult step is finding a partner who like shares the same values as me. And like chief among them is realizing or believing that like the only thing in life that really ever mattered to me was people. And so I think that like if I can take the love that I was given and share that, like that is the best way to use this like blessing that I've had, right? Having clear and healthy boundaries is like integral. And I know this is like somewhat generic, but it doesn't, you know, it matters a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I always think of that meme where it's like, we're not gonna fuck you up the way our parents fucked us up.
Yeah.
Like a new type of way of fucked up. So I can't say that like I'm gonna do things perfect or different or whatever. Or just like, I think I have a good understanding of like learning from the mistakes of others. Also on the flip side, like seeing what works from them and so trying to establish that. But beyond that, I really do want a place where people can gather and organize and meet. Like, my mom jokes about like starting a compound.
This is a giant family compound, is that what she's getting at?
But I kind of like, I do like the idea. Like, I wouldn't mind having a multi-generational household or like something like that. Like, I would never want to turn someone away.
I guess, yeah. I mean, just making money and advancing my career. I didn't find my career till just a few years ago, like my actual career that I can, you know, go retire with, like go through my whole life with, you know, being a table games dealer. That's like a skill, especially since I do crafts. So just honing my skills, doing whatever it takes, even if it's something I don't like, because if you want to be successful, you have to work hard. So, and like I kind of said earlier, like I can be a pretty lazy person. So I think just becoming a harder worker as I grow is a goal of mine, and that is important to me. And that is how I will be able to build my future home to what I desire it to be.
I'm moving to Michigan because my girlfriend got into University of Michigan, the best school in the country, so I just feel like my home's with her, so get to go further. And it's just, that's where I want to start.
You're right at the stage where you're kind of like starting that journey.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we live together right now, but I don't know. We're both moving to somewhere like brand new to both of us, so it'll be like she'll be the only person I know, and I'll be the only person she knows, like face to face when we're there.
Now this is where things get a little different. Rebuilding and building are two separate ideas. From here, you're starting from scratch, using everything you've learned from your past home. There are things you want to improve. There are things you want to keep the same. The idea behind the steps necessary to build a future home is building a system for yourself where you can uphold it. This is the adventure part. This is where you can apply what you've learned from rebuilding things. Look towards yourself. Look towards your future family. And decide what you want your future to look like from the foundation. It's something we're all working towards. Now, let's get to those wrap-up questions. Is there anything else you want to add or say about this topic or just in general?
Yeah, I think it really doesn't matter as much the place as it does your family and the people you know. I mean, so many places are very different from each other. California's probably different than the rest of the world, but I mean, you still grow up mostly as a conversion of your parents' want onto you as well as your own uniqueness. So, I don't know. Home's just where that all comes together.
Yeah, I'd say like, as much as it is cliche to be like, oh, home is where the heart is, there is this definitely idea where it's like, it's kind of the only place you can really feel secure and really be yourself. And I think that like is probably the most integral part of it all.
Well, my home, you know, I feel like everyone else has always been really important to me. It's like a sanctuary. It's one place in the world where you should be able to go and just feel comfortable and not feel like anxious due to outside forces and things that are out of your control. I feel very lucky that I mostly do. I strive to have as good of a home as possible because it's where I feel the most comfortable.
Do you have a favorite household item that grounds you? Like, have you ever had a favorite blankie or a rocking chair, a couch that you really liked?
My 18-inch purple dragon dildo has always been a great source of comfort for me.
You just had that since you were a kid or something? You never told me about this. How come you've never told me?
Well, I knew we would do this interview one day, so I needed the dramatic effect. No, but seriously, that's the lazy part of my personality, but maybe my TV, you know? Like being able to play video games or watch movies, watch TV, hell, even listen to music in some cases. Maybe being able to enter this, it's like being in another world, like when you get immersed into it. You know how it is, you're a video game addict.
I'm a gamer, yeah.
You're the biggest gamer I know.
I don't know, we had a lot of board games, and I just remember Monopoly in particular. We played a lot of Monopoly, even though that game is fucking ass.
I never learned how to play it properly.
It's vicious. It's just mostly like board games and stuff like that. That's what I think of.
The rocking chair is funny because my nana did have one, and like we still have it. And every now and then I'll sit and rock on and think of her. And then there's like she had this bear, and you like click on his arm, and it plays that song where it's like, the moment I wake up, that's when I put on my makeup, sing a little prayer for you. There's like a little dance.
That's sick.
And like every time I walk past her room, I'll just like go and click the bear.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I like that. I like little bears.
Yeah.
Do you have a sound or smell that reminds you of home?
Yeah. So Scotland has a smell. Like
That's a funny way to lead it off.
Yeah. It's like every time I go to Scotland, like the whole country smells this way. It's not just like my relatives.
Was it like a mildew or some kind of?
It's like mildew mixed with cigarettes, mixed with like cold air. Like, 'cause you know how the cold kind of can have a smell sometimes too.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to describe. The other one is like lavender, but that's like more specific.
The smell of peppers that are cooking and how it stings my eyes. Spaghetti for my mom, because that's like the main dish that I make that I learned from my mom, and her spaghetti was so delicious growing up, even though she didn't make it like all the time or anything. And like Mexican food too. Grew up on my aunt's cooking, and I mean, I just love it. Like, it's just so delicious.
I don't know why, but it's wet dog. I don't know. It always reminds me of like when I was younger and on the rainy days when the dogs would be outside and then they would come in and the house would just smell like wet dog for like weeks. And it's like a good little, I don't know. I feel like winter's always the most fun, and it reminds me a lot of winter.
What makes home home? Home should be a place without resistance. Home is a place of love and memories. A place where things can be fixed. A place that can shape you into who you are. The place that everyone strives to build well. It's not something you run into or find. It's something you have to put the effort into making. As I was rebuilding these villages, I thought about all the people I've met, all the places I've been. Everyone with their own stories and their own upbringings. found that the quality people, regardless of if they had a quote-unquote cleaner upbringing versus a tougher one, were the ones I were able to overcome and synthesize what they'd learned from growing up. When times are tough, when home isn't perfect, there's something to learn, and there's something to carry with you. Home is the good and the bad, and it teaches you to make the best with what you have. So regardless of what stage you are in life, whether you're living in the comfort of your home, going through troubled times, or in the preparation steps to make your home, maybe you're already in your forever home in one way or another. But take the time to reflect and appreciate what you have. You never know how good you have it until it's gone. As you grow, home changes rapidly. So what do? How do you make anywhere feel like home? It's not easy. You have to be willing to put your heart on the line. You must first be vulnerable before you can be strong.